you. Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is our old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And we're going all the way over to the other coast for someone who should be on this coast because he's a playwright most of the time. He's also a writer for TV and movies, but he's an award-winner playwright and composer. He's had his shows done at Ensemble Studio Theater, the Geffen Theater in L.A., Pittsburgh City Theater, Seattle Rep, Actors Theater of Louisville, and he's had projects in development in terms of media at every place from CBS to TBS. He has taught playwriting also at Carnegie Mellon. I haven't even taught at Muskmelon. And he is the winner, this is big actually, of the Clayband Prize in terms of musical theater. And he's a finalist for a bunch of others, including like a Fred Ebb Award. So, most importantly, this man in front of us, his name is MATT SCHATZ. No jokes, please. MATT SCHATZ. He is the author of the Prostate Song. We're going to talk all about this with MATT SCHATZ. Shalom, Matt.
Hello. Hello, Rabbi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. Why did you write the Prostate Song?
Why? Because when I was at Youngblood at the Ensemble Studio Theater many years ago, and one of the board members named Ken Mandel was suffering from this affliction of prostate cancer, and he wanted to sing about it. I would do, when I was in this Youngblood Playwrights Collective in New York, I would, they had a thing called, they still do have the Youngblood Sunday Brunch, and I would, every week I'd come up, and do a song based on a theme. They'd have a theme about mothers or about whatever, and I forget what the prostate song, I forget what the theme was that time, but that was good fun.
Actually, fair
I rhymed the words better ring and Sloan Kettering. So I said phone, better ring, and Sloan Kettering, which is still one of my proudest moments. Yeah.
If Sloan Kettering calls when you have cancer, don't answer. But there's a little rhyme there too.
Yeah,
actually, the real question: how did you, for the guy who sang with you?
He's alive and well. He's thriving.
Awesome.
Commenting on Facebook, still posting the Ken Mandel, still posting the prostate song every now and again, and he likes to pretend he wrote it, but he didn't write it. I wrote it.
You wrote it. You gotta take credit. You gotta take pride.
But he's a mensch. He's a wonderful guy. Yeah.
Speaking of writing little things and little ditties, the one thing I didn't mention is that MATT SCHATZ has a couple of books out, including this new one of short poems, all about what it means to be a playwright in this crazy world that we're in. The book is called Dramaturgatory, Poems for Theater People. So, there's social. Could you share? There's one I particularly want you to share, but can you choose one and just give us a poem?
Oh boy, okay, oy vey. This one. I don't know. This might have been the one you wanted, Vic. But since you're a rabbi, I'm gonna read. This is. I just opened up to this randomly. I think this is the first one in Act 2 of the book, because they're separated into acts. This one is called Denomination. The theater is your temple, but temple is a theater too. You're an observant playwright and a less than fervent Jew. You never want to go to either. You're mostly happy when you do. That's that one.
That's beautiful. He's written if you are in the show business game, or a playwright, or even just love going to the theater. These are sweet, they're cute, they're funny, they're whimsical, they're a little rueful and dark, as I'm getting the sense, even from the black shirt, that you might be. Do you have, do you go for dark humor and sick and tasteless kind of things?
I'm not sick and tasteless, but maybe dark humor, and black shirts are also slimming, which is that's why I do that. But I like to think that the stuff has heart. I don't like sort of mean-spirited dark humor, but I have a sort of a little bit of a cynical, dark view on the world sometimes, but also I'm an optimistic, sort of hopeful person. So my darkness comes through a light lens, which is why I think I write these poems, and they're essentially light verse. Though I think sometimes they're not light, but they're in that sort of form of light verse, and I sometimes take issue with the idea that they're all light verse. But yeah, so it's all I'm a complicated person, as we all are.
Aren't we all? By the way, also one thing I didn't even get to mention is that you're an alumnus, and I don't know if you're also faculty there, but you've been to the BMI Lehman Engel thing, that if you know the Broadway musical A Class Act, or if you saw a chorus line, you know that it came out of the whole Lehman Engel. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, tell us about that.
Yes, I did it. I'm an alum. I live in Los Angeles, so I can't be part of it anymore. But I moved to Los Angeles in 2013. Though I did the Lehman Engel BMI musical theater workshop from I think I started in 2007 and went through into the advanced workshop. I learned a lot there, and I learned things that I still use every day in my musical theater writing. I teach my own course in Los Angeles called the TMI Musical Theater, the MATT SCHATZ TMI Musical Theater Workshop. They've yet to sue me. They can if they want to. I don't care. But which things I've sort of stolen from there, but also things that I've learned in my 20 years of writing musicals.
Right. So give me an example of something that you learned from BMI, and then something that you've come up with on your own that you teach in TMI.
Well, I've learned so much, and I do go through. There's this sort of, and my class is just lyrics. So even though people sometimes do music, but we do it in person and on Zoom. So people just do lyrics and read the lyrics, or we read them out loud. But one thing that I learned, there's sort of Pat Cook is one of the moderators of the BMI Musical Theater Workshop, and he has this sort of 10 Commandments of theater lyrics, and I agree with most of them. There's one though, that says sort of and they're all sort of in thou shalt not, which is good for you, Rabbi. One is like thou shalt not use cliches, which is true in all writing. However, one time I sort of take issue with it because so much about musical theater writing, so many titles of musical theater songs are cliches. Often, you're subverting the cliche. But if you look at the greatest musical theater songs from Sondheim and everything, often it's like, it's taking, sort of the ends justify the means, or they're taking cliches, and cliches are often a really good hook and a really good shorthand. So there's things like that where I sort of, in my experience, and also, because musical theater lyric you hear once and in real time, and clarity, all the rules are in service of clarity. True rhymes and the proper accent and scansion on words. These are all, they're not just, for fun and for craft, but they're all in service of clarity. So sometimes a cliche can help make a song clear. So that's one thing that I sort of sort of have a slightly different idea about. Also, I just, I in my career have sort of found things, whether it be sort of the purpose of rhymes or the purpose of sort of proper accented words, and in my experience, so I've just, I've given my vast experience of writing these shows, and sort of the thing about the BMI workshop is a lot of those people have never had shows produced. So it's like once you get, there's some things a lot of these things, these craft rules, no one gives a shit about. Even, critics don't even know what these, a critic will say, oh, there's great rhymes, but then they'll list something that's not a rhyme. So it's sort of, I think there's sort of, take everything with a grain of salt, and everything is sort of, I don't believe really in craft for craft's sake, which I think
this brings up something, because I was looking at a video of someone who was saying about a song in 1970 that they were surprised, not a theater song, a rock song, that the rhymes weren't exact, but that was intentional and it was okay, and they call them slant rhymes.
Yeah.
The name of, but if you're a Sondheim, if you're an Oscar Hammerstein, and you are a lyricist, what is your thought about slant rhymes? Are they okay in the moment?
No. Well, they're okay in pop songs. Pop songs are a whole different thing. But in theater, I strongly advise against them in a theater lyric. I really am a true believer. I mean, there's so much pleasure to be gotten from both hearing and coming up with true rhymes. Obviously, and I was a songwriter before I did the BMI Musical Theater Workshop. Before I really even was a theater songwriter, I wrote I have a guitar, I wrote my own songs. The Prostate song is an example of that, of the kind of songs I would write. That was probably right when I joined the BMI workshop, but that's an example of a comedy song that's just me with my guitar, and for those, I didn't think so much about that, but once you start really studying musical theater and the greats like Sondheim or Sheldon Harnick, Yip Harburg, those, the Cole Porter, the really good, lyricists, you'll see the importance of sort of not just true rhymes, but also the proper scansion. I talk in my class about anytime there's a misheard lyric, like in a pop song. There's like that Taylor Swift song "Blank Space," and she's got this lyric. Got a long list of ex-lovers, and the way she accents, got a long list of ex-lovers. People heard it as Starbucks lovers,
yes.
which is fine in a pop song, because you just what does that mean? But if you're in a musical and you think someone says Starbucks lovers, and the show is set in the 1840s, it's confusing. So
my hearing is so bad. I hear the song, I hear Pete's Coffee. So see, that's how bad my hearing and my scansion is.
Rabbi, yes, it's exactly. So that's that kind of thing, anytime you hear, almost anytime you hear, you mishear a lyric in all those famous ones. There's a whole book of those sort of misheard lyrics. It's often sort of a misaccented word, and sometimes it's a false rhyme. But to me, there's just so much pleasure to be gotten from finding, I did a thing at the ASCAP workshop a couple of years ago. I have a musical called An Untitled New Play by Justin Timberlake, which is a musical theater satire, and I have a rhyme. And Stephen Schwartz moderates that workshop, the great Stephen Schwartz, and I have a rhyme in it that rhymes hyphenate with life in it. And I'm very proud of that. And Stephen Schwartz really loved that rhyme. And that's the kind of thing where when you stumble upon those rhymes, you just feel like you feel like someone's God, Hashem, rabbis smiling down on you.
Yes. Or as I like to call him, Adoshem. If I'm really get perky.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, so that's I care way too. I mean, it's like me and a very small percentage of lyric writers and musical theater writers who, and I know a lot of them, we are the ones who care about this. The vast majority of people don't give a shit. And even if you hear, there was a time when, Disney would, the craft would be really high on those musical movies, like, the Ashman and Menken songs. But now, obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. But because he comes from, he has sort of a hip hop vibe. Sometimes he does use trick rhymes or slant rhymes. But then it's like, but his songs are very good still. But then, and the songs for Frozen are really great. Bobby Lopez, Kristen Anderson Lopez, they're excellent. But then, there's a newer generation of writers who don't really care about this stuff as much.
Actually, if you hear a slant rhyme in Frozen, you know what you do?
What do you do?
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
But yeah. So exactly. That's good.
You jumped on my joke, you bastard. All right.
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this though. So you come sort of learning playwriting at Carnegie Mellon and then studying at places like the Eugene O'Neill Center, and also doing musical theater composing writing at BMI. That's sort of old school. And yet now we're seeing all these different hybrid, I guess especially post-COVID, ideas of what theater can be. And it intrigues me that you wrote a musical for children called Choosical that seems different from, hey kids, come into a theater, watch a show, laugh when you laugh, clap when you clap, sleep because you're a child, whatever.
Right.
But was there more to it?
That was called The Door You Never Saw Before, and it was I had a musical that was scheduled to be produced at the Geffen and was produced later called A Wicked Soul in Cherry Hill, which is about a rabbi, but a rabbi who killed his wife.
We talk about that one.
Talk about that too, and you will get your first death threats, Rabbi Sol Solomon.
That will be my first.
Or maybe your sixth. But so in the time after the show was canceled or postponed rather, they were doing, the Geffen was doing this thing called Geffen, the Geffen Playhouse was doing a thing called Geffen Stay House, which is basically Zoom plays. Where often there'd be like an element, like they had a couple ones that I saw that were magic, like magic shows, and they mail something to your house that was part of the show. So there was that element. So they asked any of us if we had ideas for a children's show, and I wanted to write a show about what kids were going through during the pandemic. It's about a girl who's stuck inside her house, and she goes into a room in her house, and she sees a door she never saw before, and she goes and goes into this magical journey. And then it's this whole thing about this world that's sort of a pandemic parable, where she's trying to defeat this thing called the stench, and it's about that she has to have strength.
I am trying to defeat my stench all the time.
Yes, exactly. No, it's so that was what that. And then we sent a box of I think I have it. I had like 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm leaving.
We're here with MATT SCHATZ, by the way, who's grabbing a box.
Yes. We sent this box. It's a suitcase. It was a suitcase full of like things that you use in the show, and it was all things that whatever. It was a medal. This is medal. Both
will
Emmy.
Every kid in the audience have one? I don't care.
Yes, yes. They mailed it to their homes. It was all part of the show, and then they would but also. It was a choosicle, which is a word that I coined, the wordsmith I am.
Trademark MATT
because
SCHATZ.
well, we tried. You can. So the idea was that you go into these Zoom breakout rooms. So if somebody would say you could either go to this room or to this land or to this land, and if you chose that land you would have one scene. If you chose another land you would have another scene. So it was very, very complicated. We had to sort of I think one of the writers who on another show said sort of like you were building the car as you were driving it with this sort of thing.
It wasn't an improv. The scenes were worked out.
No, it's all scripted. Everything had to be scripted. All those. It's almost like quantum physics. All those outcomes had to be planned for, and then sort of like things would diverge and converge. But yeah, it was great, and the kids loved it. Later, it was used, I think, at one of the children's hospitals out here for kids. We had a tape version that they used, and it was a really wonderful experience.
So I'm still trying to get the thing. All of this was on Zoom. Or
yes, it was almost like as what we're doing now. I'm a kid, and I might, I'm at like it's like we had questions. There was quizzes. There was puzzles. There was a puzzle maker involved with the show, and we made puzzles. So then the kids would raise their hand, and so it was extremely complicated, and also just needed needed really good Wi-Fi, and we had to film these things and make them look really good, and it was also really hard to do. It's also really hard to do music on Zoom.
Yes,
So yeah, it was like it was really cool.
Now,
I think
more traditionally. You were talking about, and go figure, you write a Jewish play, you write a play about a rabbi, and he turns out to be awful. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for writing a musical that makes us look bad.
Listen, it wasn't my fault. I didn't tell the guy to kill his wife. All I did was
if he's
retell
married,
the story.
He probably wanted to.
He did well. I don't want to. But yeah, no. All I did was no. So that was. You want to talk about that? Is that what you're doing?
Let's talk about that. Well, tell quickly the story. It's a true story that you based of all things a musical upon.
It's like a song cycle, like a sung through musical. So in 1994, in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Rabbi Fred Newlander, probably some dispute, but probably hired two hitmen to kill his wife. I'm from the area. My family was, long-standing members of the South Jersey Jewish community, probably since the mid 1800s or something. So I'm not part of the rabbi's temple. But my parents had met the rabbi. They had good friends who were part of the congregation. So I thought a connection to the story. Not only that, in 1997, when my family moved from Blackwood, New Jersey, to Cherry Hill, to the apartment building, we just coincidentally moved into the very unit that the hitman had lived in, that features into the story. So I felt this really weird connection to the story, and always sort of felt a little haunted by it. And I really thought the questions that it raised were interesting about sort of what we do when people that we trust, turn out to be not so great. Which even in the sort of Me Too movement and all these things, a lot of our heroes, I don't know if you've ever seen the films of Woody Allen, but I like those films.
Of course.
We had to reckon with.
You and I would not exist in the way that we do without Woody Allen.
Exactly. So, but then if you've had ideas about the accusations about him, you sort of had to reckon with what it means to separate the art from the artist, or what it means when someone we admire turns out to be not so great. And in this case,
what it means
someone
to separate his penis from a child. It's that kind of thing.
Exactly. Rabbi, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we could talk about that's maybe offline. But yeah. So anyway, so that really, so the play, I was very proud of it. Probably I think in some ways the thing that I was meant to write, the best thing I've ever done. Though there was issues with it was a new musical, which is hard. It was totally sung through, and then when the Geffen announced, I mean, there's humor in the show because I'm a funny writer, but the show is not a comedy, and the show does take the situation very seriously. But when the show was announced, the Geffen announced it sort of as the tagline is sort of with humor and chutzpah, and people took offense at that. And I don't know if you know that the Jewish community can be very they don't like when somebody, especially the Jewish community in South Jersey, were sort of angered by it. They didn't see the show, but didn't stop them from review bombing it and sending me threatening and the cast threatening messages
Really?
and like fascist style things. But yeah, so that was interesting. But I'm still very proud of the show. Because of the. Also we opened and then we shut down a week because of COVID. It was, sort of
But I don't know. I don't know if that's a show I would want to see right now, only because we're taking it on the chin so much as Jews and Jewish Americans. And at least in my case, as Zionists.
Yeah, and that's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard, Rabbi Sol Solomon. You have to. I understand. I totally understand. But the show is not a. Jews can be good people and bad people. That's important to understand. Also, I think you more than anyone else as a rabbi would know that the sort of the questions are more important than the answers. So the show is asking big questions. I think in a lot of ways. The people who were against the show, strangely, I think if the show was sort of, about, the evil right wing or whatever, I think people would have been sort of more on board with it. But I think a lot of the people were sort of probably aligned with, probably liberal, probably aligned with me, or I don't know, maybe you politically, but they were offended that the show that I was even bringing this thing up again, which is what you're suggesting. I totally understand. But I, as an artist, my job is to try to tell the truth. I don't, and the show is sort of framed as if. Every year, people get together and we tell the story. Exactly, and that's what we do. We sort of and my idea. I didn't change any of the story or what happened. It's all from sort of accounts. And there's been also countless books and documentaries about this. I wasn't the first person to dig this up. There's podcasts, true crime podcasts that treat it much. With much more light and sensationalism than I did.
That got me thinking, wouldn't that be an amazing Seder? It's like they all sit around the table, and the children have to hire a couple of uncles to kill grandma. But they fake, they fake stab her and everything, and then I don't know what the afikomen would be. It would have to be some sort of
Well, this is the people. I mean, the people reacting sort of to this sort of idea, to this sort of framing of it, rather than the framing what I was just trying to. I mean, there's humor in the show, but also the show is.
They assumed you were being deliberately anti-Israel or anti-Jewish and offensive.
Well, it's nothing to do with Israel, but sort of anti. Yes, no, I think they just thought they didn't want this story to be told. They thought a personal connection to it. I totally understand. The kids are still alive, and the son was very active on social media, saying mean things to the actors, and they couldn't market this. They couldn't market the show because anytime they put a video of the show,
it's like, I wish your dad had killed you. I mean, well, maybe not.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would never say that, but no, I know, of course. Anyway.
Anywho,
I have a poetry book about
let's.
I'll read one that's Jermaine. This one is Jermaine. You want to hear it? Okay.
Yes, or Michael or Tito.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. I could have. Let me find this one. I think it's toward the end. Let's see. It's only 40 pages. Okay, here it is. This one is called True Crime. Sweet Jesus and holy hell. Oedipus was not Sophocles' story to tell. Which comes from this idea that a lot of people are saying that the Wicked Soul in Cherry Hill was not my story to tell. Even though I'm from the community and I'm also I wouldn't even have to be from the community to tell the story. Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't even. It always bothered me that. Well, I mean, I understand. It's like when Spike Lee wanted to make the movie about Malcolm X, and there was a white director who was slated to do it first, and Spike Lee said, "No, you don't get this white guy to tell this story."
Right.
I'm like, Spike Lee can tell his version. The white guy can tell his version. There, you can't take a story away from someone. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's and also we're very sort of the current culture is very sort of identitarian, but I do think there's something to be said for having someone. I felt like I could tell because I'm in South Jersey.
You were in the apartment. You were where the hitman were. Did you find any bullets? Or no?
Found no bullets. Only found only. Nothing. No, only their name on the. My dad took their name off the mailbox. Yeah.
Now, speaking of having your names on things, a lot of what you've written, tons and tons of scripts and screenplays and plays and teleplays and things.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that like a certain high percentage of them, you're paying for them, you do them, you're like, oh, this will get made, this will be a thing, and then you write it, and it just goes. It's turnaround hell, or it's just not even, or it's got pie. How do you get through that as a creative person, where you're putting all this energy into something that you almost know has a nominal chance of actually being made?
How do you get through that? You're saying?
Yeah.
Well, you get paid. So that's all you care about. I mean, I've done so much TV development. I don't think anything. I mean, I've had a few little things made, but really the vast majority of the things that I've sold or I've worked on, I've even been in writers' rooms for shows that that never got done. I was in a writer's room and I co-wrote this sort of Netflix adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with the writer and director Taika Waititi. We co-wrote the pilot, and that never. I mean, we were in a writer's room for it. I wrote 2 scripts. It was for Netflix. Never got done. I'm cool with it as long as if I can make a living. It'd be nice for things to get made. But right now they're not making anything, and there are no TV writers or TV shows, or televisions or movies or writers or screenplays.
Netflix just bought Warner Brothers, so
I don't know if it's going to really happen, but yeah, someone's trying. They could have just, I don't know, they could have just subscribed to Netflix, if you ask me, if they really wanted to see the shows on there. They'd have to buy it. But yeah, it's an interesting time to be a writer. I think the part of the reason that I wrote that I've been writing this poetry, especially Dramaturgatory, which is put out by a publisher called Ballacourt Press, which coincidentally is the name of the street that I grew up on. Just a coincidence. I didn't start the company. I have an audience, and people bought the book, and you can use the proceeds. All the proceeds of the book go to a charity called Matt Feeds His Children and helps his working wife pay their rent. So that was really one of the impulses.
This is a second printing, so you already did one printing of this. And
we sold out 100 copies like this. It's like a lot of poetry books don't sell out 100 copies in their life. So I mean, Shoes Last Song Gonna Lay, my first book, which was put out not by me but by Kung Fu Treachery Press, which is a publisher. I believe it's in Missouri or something. But great group of people and puts out great books. Sold very well. Was like the number 5th best-selling poetry book on Amazon months after it came out. Best-selling poetry book, is in the hundreds, not in the millions or thousands. But even so, I've had an interesting sort of. I do have like a following, and I post a lot of these poems on Instagram. I do get published occasionally, like in this magazine, pretty frequently. This magazine called Light Poetry Magazine, which is a journal of light verse. But I'm not someone who just like a lot of these people just publish all these literary magazines. It really makes more sense to me to put these poems on Instagram directly. People, I get fans, I get followers, people, and then buy these things. I mean, and one of the reasons I put out Dramaturgatory was because a lot of my follower, people that I know are theater people. All my best friends are playwrights and and directors and actors. So it seemed like a cool thing for people to get for presents for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever.
Actually, tell us, how can we buy those? But you have a website.
Yeah. You can go to if you go to my website, mattsschatz.com. There's a link there. I think if you probably Google it, Dramaturgatory. I made up the word, so you might find it. But yeah, you go to my website. It's a Shopify page and there's also we sell Dramaturgatory hats and shirts. If you're interested in such things.
Oh my!
We got merch.
Jewish. You've got merch.
Yes, we got merch.
Friend.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes, we got merch. Merch rhymes with church, so not. But so.
I want to get back to the Jew shit. I want to get back to some Jew stuff right here. So,
yes.
Growing up, were you conservative, liberal, moderate? I don't get.
I was in a No, I was in a. So I'm from a place called Turnersville, New Jersey, which is a small little suburb of Philadelphia. It's like a lot of South Philadelphians live in, a lot of Italians live in this Washington Township. And I went to a temple called B'nai Tikva, which is a conservative temple. But then I believe that with an Orthodox rabbi, but a conservative temple. But also my family, I don't, I'm an atheist and everything, but I'm still very Jewish. I'm bar mitzvahed. My wife's Jewish, my children are Jewish, my family's Jewish, we're Jewish.
Okay.
Exactly. So and I write. I play The Burdens, which is my most produced play, is about Jewish siblings, and I write a lot of Jewish. I'm a Jewish American writer. Philip Roth would often say, "Oh, I'm not a Jewish American writer. I'm an American writer." I think he's a Jewish American writer. I think I'm also a Jewish American writer. And I think there's nothing. I think that's my point of view. That's my perspective. I think sometimes people say that my plays are sort of, even though I think they're very Jewish, for certain things like Jewish awards and things like that, the Jewish Playwrights Project, which is a cool thing, and my plays are never quite Jewish enough in that way, I think, for them. But I do my best. All I can do is do what I can, as they say.
Nobody knew Tom Stoppard was Jewish until like 10 years
ago.
Yes,
exactly.
Right. He is.
I have a poem about Tom Stoppard. I have a poem about that, but I don't even know. I have to. It's not. It's something
but
like.
Can you read? Could you kindly read my favorite poem in the book? It's short.
I cannot. I'm sorry. I apologize, Rabbi. Yes. So go ahead, please. What is it?
It's two fucking lines. You can read. Okay, it's Giving Tuesday.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant. I love this poem.
Okay. I think I have it memorized, but I'll find it anyway. It's in the first part. Let's see. Yeah. Giving Tuesday. Here's what it looks like. Giving Tuesday. So many theaters wrote me today, but it wasn't to tell me they're doing my play. That's the poem.
That's called terse and says everything.
You have to get everything, and it's all a part of the things I do when I write on Instagram. When I write poems, I write them on voice notes on my phone. And if the line's too long, it goes on to the next line, and I don't accept it. So I have to make the line short enough that it fits into the 4x5 Instagram thing, or else I go nuts. So that's part of I think it's my lyric writing background. It's all about really finding as few words as possible to say what you want to say, and that's sort of part of the fun.
Yeah, and it's also just so true for every writer. It's like a company that you've submitted a play to writes to you for money on Thanksgiving, or they announce their season, and you're like, oh, great, you have a season. Good for you. Good.
Exactly. I think also it's for writers who are so poor, most of us are such the book I've dedicated Dramaturgatory to poor dramatists, which I think is most of us. And so you get, it's like, and obviously there are people that see shows and see plays, and they have regular jobs and they have money, and I really believe in people supporting theater, but as a writer and a theater artist, you sometimes think, oh, come on, I'm just trying to live my life over here, and you can do one of my plays, and I'm happy to see a play if you give me free tickets, but my way of supporting the theater is trying to write for it and trying to push it forward and trying to
I'm going to ask you though. Your wife, as you mentioned, works. So mazel tov. How did you meet your missus?
We met on a website in 2005 called MySpace.com in New York City.
So she's a musician then, because MySpace is mostly known for, or was.
No, she wasn't. They had a regular. It was like just a regular. I mean, I had a music page and everything. But she's a writer, but she's also just not a musician. It was just a regular social media platform that we met. I think when I moved to New York, I did a Rabbi like this. You could search sort of for Jewish girls or whatever. I searched for Jewish girls. I messaged 2 Jewish girls, and she was one of them. And the other one is yet to write back, but she might still. So that was we met very soon after that. And I think I lived in New York for a month, and then I met her and started dating her right away. Her name is Jenna, and then we lived in New York, and where I was a downtown playwright and writer and with day jobs and stuff, and then I won that big theater award, the Cleveland Prize, $100,000. We moved to LA to try to see
so
what.
You're not exactly impoverished. I mean, you're just
Rabbi. That was 2012. That was over 2 years. I don't know. I 50 grand a year minus. I'm happy to, and I've worked also. I've worked. I was a TV writer and stuff before the strike.
Are you
and
still getting because we've talked to a lot of TV people as well as theater people on this show.
Yeah.
And as they as they age, and you're not old yet, but as they age a little past.
I'm not young. I'm not young. I'm not. And I've been doing this a long time. What's the question? Is it hard to be old?
One of our friends in the neighborhood is playwright and writer John Pielmeyer, who is very, very lucky to keep getting and writing a lot for TV and series and things like that, as well as theater. Yeah. But, he said there's this level of when you reach a certain age and they're looking for kids out of Harvard who are 21 years old to write everything.
Yeah, there's that. I haven't encountered that so much, but there's also just there was a time, a couple years ago, like when I came out. I mean, I never was benefited that much from this, but there was a time when it was like the .com boom. Like every playwright, anyone sort of who had any play or even never wrote a play came out here in New York, got managers and developed TV and got into these rooms, and they jumped from room to room, and there was all these prestige shows, and there was a glut of these things, and the people were just people thought this was going to go on forever, and then for various reasons it didn't and isn't. I had a sort of different career. I would develop a lot. I would sell things. I didn't get in a lot of rooms. But I did sell a lot of things, and I would get, and I did end up working a lot with the writer Taika Waititi on a few different projects, which was good for me for a bit, and gave me my income. But yeah, it's tough, and the industry. I mean, both sort of the pandemic, then the strike. Was really hard for this industry in a lot of ways. I'd sold something right before the strike. And then we fit. So I was like, okay, I have this project, and then it was a show for AMC that I wrote with a wonderful another playwright named Danetta Lavinia Grays. But they didn't do the show, but we wrote the show and they bought the show. Or maybe they're doing it. Maybe somebody else is doing it now. I don't know. They fired whatever. We got whatever.
We were hired to write somebody. It was their idea.
We sold the pie. We hired. Yeah, I don't know. I got whatever. But yeah, I mean, I was so it's just but that was sort of the last. I mean, I've done other things, and I do what I can, and I write musicals, and I have a bunch of musical projects and playwriting projects.
So let me ask you then. I'm personally also hinky about this, but can you talk about what you're working on now, or
sure.
do you, not until it's finished or a first draft is done?
I could talk about whatever I want. No one's going to say anything. No, and I don't know. And maybe I don't even know how many people watch the podcast. Maybe no one would even hear this. But what am I working on? So a couple things. I have a new play that's really good. It's called Bobby Rabinowitz and Alison Porchnick. It's about a novelist talking to a chatbot. It's a 2-character play, and it's had a reading out here with a company called In-House Theater, and it went like gangbusters in Los Angeles, and then it's being part of this. I don't know I forget what the
Palm Beach Drama Works. They're doing it in January.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Perelberg or something. Pellberg. Pellant. What is it? Can you read it? But yeah, so they're doing January. So I'm going to do that. And I'm very excited about that. I'm excited about the play.
So I have to add the name Alison Porchnick. If you know Woody Allen. That's either from Annie Hall or from one of his routines. It's
from Annie Hall. It's from Annie. It's a character played by Carol Kane and Annie Hall, but it's not. It's sort of it's in the play. I mean, in the play. The novelist, a woman novelist, female novelist, the main character of the play, wrote a novel called Alison Porchnick about that character. So that's where that comes from. It's sort of like trying to write a story, basically retell Annie Hall from the character from Alison Porchnick's point of view. But that's just so that's sort of a thematic thing in the play, and there's some Jewish stuff in the play too, which you'll like, yes. Rabbi. And Bobby Rabinowitz is the chatbot, also Jewish. Is Jewish. He's
a Jewish robot. This is interesting.
Yes. Yes. Well, they could do some
maybe
of us.
Shabbos going to oil him on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I don't know what they.
Some people think we're all robots. But yeah. Anyway, so that's and then there's that. I'm also writing a magic musical with the magician, a well-known magician named Piff the Magic Dragon, who's a Vegas magician who dresses in a dragon suit. I'm working on that. It's a couple trips to Vegas to develop that. We did it at the South Carolina New Play Festival. Did a workshop this summer that went really well, and I'm writing the songs and contributing to the book a little bit too on that one. Can I ask you,
how are you getting these? Is it your agent hooking you up with other things, or
no, agents don't do anything. I have an agent. They're nice, but they don't do anything. For playwrights, especially, this is my advice to playwrights. Agents. You get an agent if you need an agent, but whatever. But so I don't. All through my I've been doing this 20 years. People like me. I'm a nice person to work with. I'm a good collaborator. I'm fast. The musical came from. I wrote another musical with a gentleman named Wes Tyler, who is a director and sometimes writes. Years ago, and he runs the South Carolina New Play Festival. We started it, so. That's how that happened, and he and this magician wanted a songwriter to work with, and Wes suggested me, and the magician listened to my songs and liked them. I mean, but in this business, you just get things from being a nice person and a good collaborator. Sure, agents can help.
I've never gotten shit from anybody.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I get it.
Why I'm not.
Agents and managers and lawyers and people, they can help, but really it's about relationships, and being trying to be a nice collaborator and putting yourself out there, writing. I write many plays a year, and just that's really how you do it. Yeah.
I always say it's who you're loving with and who you daven with. That's yes. How it is. It's a little cleaner than the other other thing. By the way, we have been speaking with the delightful Matt Schatz. Remember to get his books. His books include Dramaturgatory and Shoes Last Longer in L.A. You can get them at MattSchatz.com. Also, Shopify has them as well.
And Amazon for this one, if anywhere books are sold for this one because a publisher put it out, and this one the money just goes right into
your special GoFund yourself
toys for my Gabby's Dollhouse stuff for my kids.
How old are your kids, by the way, if I may ask? I'm asking.
37 and they're 2 and 5.
Oh, Mazel! No wonder
Thank
you have time literally to write only 2-line poems. Now I get it.
It's 100% true. Yes. The four lines are is about my limit, and I do it. I write so many things at play places. I write into my phone at a play place when I'm watching my toddler or kindergartner or whatever. It's a way for me to keep sane, and I'm not a stay-at-home dad. I'm still working, but often I'm watching these children. So, I guess then parenting, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I'm parenting these children, and my wife also has a full-time job and works from home. But she's got to bring home the turkey bacon.
She has to
the turkey bacon.
Bring home the fried beef, which was the Jewish equivalent of it.
Yes.
Last question for MATT SCHATZ. If
Sure.
you were to look back at any of the plays or musicals that you've written or co-written, and if there's any producers watching right now, which is the one that you would say Broadway or maybe major commercial off-Broadway run?
Which, the burdens, we've been trying, the actor Rachel Bloom is attached to the burdens. We did a reading out here. The wonderful director Marlo Hunter is also attached, and we've been trying to get years ago. I mean, that's been when I was at the O'Neill, and it came out of the O'Neill, and there was a lot of buzz, and a lot of Broadway producers were interested, and it was even almost optioned and then not optioned, because who knows, but so that's that one. It's a 2-character play. It's told almost entirely through text messages. It's great. So that one, yes. Also, I think this new one, which is about something we're all going through right now, which is sort of our relationships with artificial intelligence, I think is I think everyone will do it, or everyone should do it. It's 2 characters. I think it's I think with the Burdens was probably one of the first plays that really sort of used text messaging to tell the story. It's really an epistolary play. Bobby Rabotowitz and Alison Porchnik is similar in that way. It's a similar kind of thing. I'm really trying to I'd like to write things about the way we live now and communicate now, and also be funny and be delightful. And they're also both very short because I have no attention span. My superpower is my short attention span. I just watched this Noah Baumbach Jay Kelly movie yesterday, and it was last night over 2 nights, and it's way too fucking long. So short, sweet, funny.
Like me, basically.
Exactly like me, and like you, and like me, and like any given poem in this little book. They're short, they're delightful. It's the best poetry book in the country. The only other good one is this one. So yeah, buy the books.
And humble. Ladies and gentlemen, he's also humble. MATT SCHATZ, wishing you much, many more words, much more writing, much more productivity.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And thank you.
Yes. Happy Hanukkah.
You too. Shalom.
Shalom.